Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the next episode review of Hell's Paradise of Season 2. And so, not only the show that I really enjoy the show, but this episode was like, it's both whack, like the first half was whacked, but the ending of the episode was just very emotional, almost heartbreaking, so. And so, just really quick again before, okay. With Gabby Morrow for the first part. Gabby Morrow, he since now they have his memories back, he wants since his fighting is kind of like he says his fighting is dull, so he wants to train for a bit, to get him back into shape basically so he can fight again properly. So he has the Dragon Blade, even Nudokai and Shion, and then also Toma, and which now because now Fuji does not trust now because of his betrayal. So, but he wants him to fight anyway. Since Dragon Blade gives him his sword, so he can fight. He can fight with his bare hands, and so. And I also like one thing I liked was the animation this scene because how it shows like when it shows the operation of their Tau. Last season was like basically a white silhouette, right? Well, I like that they improved on that. It shows like more of like a teal blue of the figures of them, and so I thought that was like an improvement of showing of the distinction of each person's Tau. So the animation of those of that teal blue animation was very well done as well. So he's like, okay, that's enough. I'm good now. And Toma, since he wants to learn how to fight, use a sword properly. So he turns to the blade dragon, and so, in which I knew was coming because he cuts off his hair, which I knew he would, like as I said beforehand. So I knew he would cut off his hair, and so and so he wants to wait for his brother, and while it's going on, his brother, Chobe, he runs into Rien of the Tensen, so fights him, seeing how impressive he is, like how this guy can regenerate and yet so he can still have his sense of humanity, his own self in it, all at the same time, right? While fighting him, even while Chobe, having his choosing that form that he had earlier, and so at the end result, he's hit his limit. So Rien makes him puts him to sleep, and next thing you know, he wakes up in their place. Right, he's tied to the bed, and now Rien he's taken on a female form because remember the Tensen they can change, but they can switch between male and female. So went to his female form, and so this is where the whacked out part is because how they uh conjure up Tao, and is one of the part they mentioned is Boju Jutsu, which is you know the sexuality of the sexual part of obtaining Tao. So he wants to, so Rian wants to perform that with Chobe, and he's explained and he's explained some of the bits of what's the whole thing about this whole thing of this island. Even May at all the same time. Well, May she's explaining also the same thing as well. And it turns out in the flashback, Rian and May they were the original Tensen. Them too. The other members of the Tensen they were born shortly afterwards as infants. So they were the original two Tencent basically. But while they were created first though, the original person who started all this hermit, well Joe started with the Jiaosu or something like that. He's one who's manufactured all this island into what it is with all um the Soshin, the monsters in the forest, and what has happened with the human people in the village, like Hoku, or the anime Groot, and his people about how they became trees, and just over the years into performing this whole thing with Tao, the whole experimenting, and the elixir of life and everything, and so So both May and Rian are explaining everything. So and Chobei just like, okay, well, things so he's like almost like stuck between a hard rock and a hard place because in his current state he can't win or against them or run let alone run away. So he has the one choice. So does he does end up doing the whole Bojujutsu because like, well, one thing, I'm not at the bottom, I'm on top. Is the whole thing because he's doing this because for his survival, and so he still wants to wait for his wait on, and his brother is waiting for him, so he has no choice in the matter. But still, it's like, I'm not gonna be at the bottom. Uh, and then and all that though, but then by the end of this, um, then you get the it's like you go from that whacked out scene to this very emotional scene where because since she used up a lot of her Tau powers, right? We see her left arm is like becoming more of a start turning into a tree form. So because since she used up a lot of her power, so Hoku, right? The Groot, you say Groot, but the anime version of Groot, you say, offers his life so that she can remain who she is, and which is very sad because up until after his whole he was the only survivor of his family before we turned into trees and also his village. Even when he turned into the tree form as well, because he hasn't turned to a full fledged tree, he was in like Groot form, you could say. And when he and after which when May ran away, met her, and just kind of like the way he was raising her, like he saw her as he kind of was seeing her as his daughter, but as the time went on, though, he was like, oh, you can actually be my new daughter, and so and please, and the whole voice actor who voices Hoku, in this emotional breakdown thing was very the guy did a good job, so credit to the voice actor who voiced it in this very emotional scene. And so, because you always say I always give credit to the Japanese voice actors first who do a good job anyway. But I always always prefer the English dub though. But I always give credit to the Japanese voice actors first though. But so the guy who did the voice in the emotional scene for Hoko was very good, And so because he's crying, so please allow me to offer my life so you can survive. And so because now I see you as because I see you as my daughter, my new family, and so that was very a heartbreak emotional scene though. And so May uses her power, absorbs him, and says, goodbye, father. She calls him father, so that was also another emotional heartbreak scene. So and so she absorbs, and she goes back into her child form now. And then and so after the credits, Blade Dragon says, "Oh, Miss, you shrunk back. I was gonna be right on my shoulders again." And then afterwards they have to so they're we're while that's going on because May senses something else, strong Tau, and it's the next party that arrives on the island now with the next set of Osimon, and also I guess from earlier from when I saw the season, more of Gabi Moro's ninja comrades from his village, the Irigake Shinobi. So they arrived along with the remaining Asaimon, and May can sense that this is lots of people with very strong Tau. So now they'll have to deal with them along with the Tencent as well. So, but overall, it was. I mean, the island itself is just very whacked out, even with the whole origins with the Tencent and everything else. So, but you get the whole whacked out, just the whole Bujutsu scene with Chobei, and then the whole thing with the very emotional breakdown with the heartbreak with between May and Hoku. So that was very sad as well. So, but that's why this show has been very um it's been very great because I love the first season. I really enjoy the show, and I've been really loving the second season so far. So it's been really great for me. So Yeah, but just between those two, it's like, man, this show has been very they're both whacked and good at the same time, so the craziness and emotional scenes as well. Like with the first season, the whole thing with Tenza's backstory and how him training with Shion, and his sacrifice so that both Nodokai and Shion can get away, he died, he went out fighting. That was an emotional scene right there. And the sad scene with Senta, when he jumped in the way and saved um Yuri's Yuri's side, and how he he got hit with the Tense's flower. He got flowers on him and saved her. So I was like, damn, because I like these characters. And then after when Fuji heard about Senta's dead and he saw his grave, you got all teary and crying. So yeah, it does have some good emotional character moments though. So definitely. But anyway, that's episode. That's um yeah, we're third episodes in, so it's episode 26. Yeah, I think it's 26 of Hell season 2 of Hell's Paradise. So no, why am I saying 26? I meant 16. I meant yeah, episode 16. So, but anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. We'll see you next time. Later.